Hi guys, welcome to Mana Podcast. And today
Thanks.
we have Rohit and Abrar from Inditip. Welcome guys.
Thank you.
I was just going through your website and there's like a lot of transition that has happened in your careers, right? Which is very, very interesting. And Rohit from a mathematician to a gaming zone to this, and Abrar from a stockbroker to this. So what is the story like? So where did you guys meet? What is the motivation that made you guys start Inditip?
Well, we met by playing video games. I used to have a video game parlor down near Residency Road in Bangalore.
Okay.
And I was one of my first customers and one of my best customers.
Is it called the living room? I think I was just going through your interview.
Right.
That's the one.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah, spent many hours there.
And so when did the game of friends become business partners? Like how did that change?
I'd say we had a friendship going for about 6 or 7 years, and then we went through various career roles. I was entrepreneurial. He was working in Tally, and then from Tally he went on to Microland, and I went from being an entrepreneur to working with Prestige in a real estate role. And
then we tried to build a mobile app.
We tried to build a mobile. We tried a few things while we were actually working on the site, and they all kind of didn't start or didn't take at all.
And when did it work for you guys?
Yeah, well, we started talking about the idea, and we thought we'd try and do it part-time. Then it started becoming bigger and bigger, and then Rohit jumped ship first. He's like, okay, I'm out, I'm done. And then
so I quit my job.
Yeah, he quit his job, and then I quit my job, and then it's been a couple of years,
That's nice. So you guys started off in 2016, if I'm not wrong, correct?
That's right, July 1st, 2016.
July 1st, all right. So just to let the viewers know, so what is Inditip? What exactly does Inditip do? Why Inditip and not anything else?
I'm going to let Rohit say first, and then I'll say.
Okay.
So Inditip's main philosophy is to let people on the internet support content that they like.
Okay.
So, for instance, you might read a travel blog where it's inspired you to go take a trip, or you follow a cooking channel on YouTube and been cooking stuff, and you want to support them. And there's the entire environment which lets consumers be shown ads, and the advertisers pass on some of the revenue to the publishers. But we wanted a direct way to thank people. Better than a like. You can.
Yeah. So the idea was really, you have a lot of good content out there, and very fundamentally, we wanted to be able to pay for it. You see this really great video, read a really good blog, a very, very good quick fix solution, a hack, or something like that, and you sometimes feel like, hey man, I'd really want to pay this guy. So he continues making these hacks.
Making good content.
Right. I think that was it. And we also saw that the ads ecosystem requires a huge amount of traffic for it to be really, really viable, to really generate a lot of money. But, it eventually comes from the function of your audience.
Correct.
Right? And is that proportionally being passed on to the creators? Perhaps not, because Google and Facebook take the largest share of it. So we thought that if you engage the audience and you keep them engaged, there are people who are loyal and they follow you and they really love your work, and you can see it reflected in their likes and their shares of your articles or what they say about you on social media. Well, it costs time and money to make content, right? So we said, would you
say you're also trying to improve the quality of content and actually appreciate the good quality content that is available indirectly?
So we cannot do that. Indirectly we'd be a filter, I would say, for good content. Okay, we cannot really. We're just a system that helps people appreciate good content, and people who create good content to earn for it. Eventually, I believe that payment for content would be a great filter for a quality of content, because likes can be boosted or whatever it may be, but no one's going to pay even a dime for your content unless they've really gotten some value from it. And now there is the chicken and egg situation. Should you pay for content before you consume it? And we think not. We think it should be democratic. You should consume it, and then if you decide that it's worth something, then you should be able to
Do people actually pay after they read the content? Because
Well,
I've
this is
seen
what we've been
people.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, so because I've seen people pay for content, like to read content, right? I've never seen people
Right.
do the other way around where they actually.
Right, because we flipped the concept around, and we're very happy to say over the last 3 months since we've gone live in February that significant numbers in the tens of lakhs have been paid for content in the last few months
And
through
this is
our platform for only our
this is
clients.
the
Yes,
Indian audience.
this is only the Indian audience. I
This is
mean,
only India. This is web
yes.
and.
So here's since you brought this up, I think the fundamental question was when we started up, will people pay for that which is free? And
Correct.
again, being Indian, that we love free
Exactly.
stuff.
I mean,
Will anyone
we
pay?
all know
And
how we work, right? So,
no, well, we are very surprised. We are very, very surprised at the Indian internet, at consumers on the Indian internet. They're paying all kinds of content. They're paying it on websites. They're paying for news. They're paying for music tutorials. They're paying for all sorts of stuff that our clients put up on all channels. They're paying on YouTube. They're paying on websites. They're paying on our links that
So
go out on WhatsApp, on
how does
email.
the linking work? Like, for example, if I see something interesting on YouTube, for example, and
Yeah,
I want to pay for that content, so how does Inditip come into
yeah.
the.
So what we do is we are not really pioneering anything here. What we're probably doing is giving someone a very easy flow. Have you heard of a service called Patreon? No.
No,
Yes.
no, I
No.
haven't.
Okay. So they do the same thing.
Okay.
They've been around for a while in America, and they do this only for YouTubers, where they place a link in the description,
Okay.
and the person who produces the video says, "Click the link in the description to help me with Patreon." So
Oh,
you
nice.
click, and then you get redirected to a website, and over there you can pay that person on a monthly basis or something. What we do is click the link in the description and pay right then and there. Okay, we don't
Okay.
redirect. It happens within the app.
Oh,
So
within the app.
it's working really, it's working really well. We've got some big customers on YouTube, 1 million plus subs, and they're doing extremely well. They get all the revenue.
Does the
We
integration
have this
have to
in
be
English,
done?
on Hindi,
Oh, that's the
Tamil.
other thing. I think that's another great thing that's happening, which Rohit is mentioning, that it's happening across all channels and across all languages in India.
The local
Yeah,
languages,
which is
right?
great. Yeah, right. So I think there are a lot of misconceptions here, thinking that only English content may possibly get paid, or maybe even Hindi, which is not true at all.
Not
I
true
think
at
that
all.
we grossly underestimated the vernacular audience, and that everyone appreciates good content and we see value for it. They will pay it. The question is,
100%.
what is the price for content? Is what we are trying to really discover. Because you have subscriptions which are at thousands of rupees a year, and you have zero.
Right.
But there is a huge band in between. So our job, I think, is to try and see how we can, find the value for content for every individual consumer. So what Nikitha pays is not necessarily what Abrar pays or what XYZ pays.
Makes sense.
Everyone goes through their own payment journey for payment, and that's what we're working towards. So you basically catch everybody, from the people who pay 5 rupees all the way up to 5,000, 10,000, etc., and then see if you can retain them, make it recurring, and increase what they call the average revenue per user.
Actually, these people post a single payment if they, to show them similar content or.
No, we don't push content.
We don't harass our customers.
Yeah, we don't harass our customers. We don't email them. We want everything to happen in situ when they see a plugin, right? Within that plugin, the good thing is, because it's linked to the device, whenever they go to any of these websites, as long as they're surfing on the same device, all the histories are there. I mean, they can they can be talked to based on their consumption. So that's how we push out amounts, and that's how we push out various things. We don't want it to be something that's always just boringly asking for payment. We want it to be this intelligent system that is going to turn off and turn on payments with higher probabilities of success. And there are various other things that are happening.
How does Inditip make money out of this?
We make it per transaction. We make 10% per transaction. Yeah.
And so just to go back to your past, so Abrar, how did you switch from a stockbroker to this? Well, it's very interesting.
Before he was a stockbroker, he sold electrical equipment.
I sold decentralized power plants. This is true. And then I did commodities trading, and then I traded a lot in the market. I made a lot of money, and then I lost it all completely. And then I had to. The only thing I had was
with the other startups that you guys started.
No, not at all.
No, this is before we met.
This is before we even met.
Before the gaming happened.
Yeah, before the gaming together happened. Yeah. So after that is when I got into real estate. I had to monetize some assets, so I got into building and that made me some. And in the interim, I met this guy. And then, of course, apart from gaming, we talked a lot. we talked a lot. We spent a lot of time, and we got to know each other for a very, very long time. And nothing about business even ever came up until I suppose we were in the right, not right. Let's say the same place, in our careers, for us to be like, oh my God, this sucks and that sucks, and it just kind of
So Rohit, you from a PhD in mathematics, if I'm not wrong, to US, to back to India, to gaming zone. How does that work? Like, how did that happen?
Well, about 3 years into my PhD, I realized that I was not going to be a very good mathematician. I mean, I could have been.
He wanted to win the Fields Medal, and then he realized I'm giving up on the
You had to do a PhD.
Math is hard. Math is
really hard.
Math is not your thing?
Well, I love it. It didn't love me back. So I went into finance. And then, finance, it's the whole stereotypical thing. You're living in Manhattan and you're single and you have a lot of money and then you have nothing to do with it. So I figured, okay, my life is not going anywhere. So I moved back to India. And then I needed
a gaming parlor.
A job.
I'm really happy you did, by the way.
I know.
I'm really happy you did. Doing anything else though, like opening a gaming parlor? I mean, I'm sure it worked out well for you guys, but
no, it didn't.
It's a very big transition. It's a very, very vague transition.
Well, I think I just wanted to have my own thing, and I had a friend who had an idea, and he said, "Oh, we're going to make so much money," and then we didn't. So I had to get.
Well, I contributed. I tried to make them some money.
He tried to play as much as he could.
Yeah, I went every day. I was spending hours over there. My wife was upset, but
drinking a lot of Red Bull.
Drank a lot of Red Bull. It was crazy. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, so coming back to Inditip, right? So, what is your main channel of acquisition like? How does it work? So, is any sort of promotion or marketing that goes from your side, or is it just the link that you guys provide, which the marketing happens automatically as the viewers?
Okay, so here's the model. We really don't have to sell, the concept. The links themselves. We have to tell the concept of how this should work for a publisher. They onboard, and then the content is their seller, right? Because the content, you read a blog or an article right at the bottom, it says, if you really enjoyed this, you could pay so much for it. So we don't really have to sell.
If I am providing content, right, and I want to include Inditip link to my...
You go to oxnet.com, hit the sign up, and in 24 hours, you're up and running. If you have WordPress blog, we give you a customizable plugin. You get a dashboard. You do that. You do it for YouTube. You get everything.
So it's just a one-click thing where I go and I set up my account and use the link.
Yeah, it's not one click. You have some stuff.
I figured.
Yeah, but once you fill it up, it is one click. And then, it takes about 24 hours. We activate your account and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So do you have any advisors or people supporting you, advising you guys through this, or your experience is good enough?
Well, we've had several advisors.
We've had people on the journey. Yeah,
we've had people. We've had several advisors on the way. There are some people who we still turn to, some people who, we don't need to go to anymore. I guess we're still in touch with. So we've been very lucky that way, that at every step that we've had, not just advisors, but well-wishers. We've got great advice on the finance and accounting side from experts. We've got great advice on the legal side with great lawyers. So I think our overall support system is really good out there. Our core team. I think that the people who are our auxiliaries have been tremendous, and I think they're amongst the best in their field. So we're very lucky with that.
All right. And what do you think are the few problems that you face through the journey? Also, one more question before that. Like, you are focusing only on India right now, correct? Are you planning to globalize it, or is there a reason that you're sticking to India right now? And what is it?
Okay, so Rohit, jump in whenever you feel like. I'm just.
We're not opposed to globalizing it, but we are going to do it at the right time. We don't want to stretch ourselves too thin too early and make mistakes. And you can't burn the candle at both ends. But we're not opposed to it. We have to figure out regulations in the markets that we want to operate in. We want to figure out the legal frameworks, the payment systems, how the banks work.
And, the taxes and there are a lot.
The thing is that what Rohit is saying is he's absolutely right, and that's one of the biggest challenges to us. We'd like to go to the world today, but every country has its own financial regulation. Online payments are what they are, and there are entry barriers. Some countries have easy barriers, some people have very, very difficult barriers to scale. But we have been approached. We've been approached from a few places outside of India for people who want to use our product. But we are not entirely sure whether we want to get into any kind of franchising model or licensing model just yet. We're just coming to grips with and stabilizing our Indian operation. We just, the good thing is we've been profitable from day one, and that's been growing, and that's great. But
I think it's a process where once you've automated it, I think it's very easy for you guys to.
No, I don't think it's a question of automation. I think Rohit's built an amazing system that's going to be very, very easy to automate and deploy anywhere, and extremely scalable. I think that on that side, the infrastructure that he's built is just fabulous. That's not the problem. Our real problem is how do we do business in a country with different regulations? Being an Indian entity doesn't mean we have to.
Especially, I think when payments are involved, it gets way more complicated, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that you've got especially if you're starting to do cross-border payments, and regulations are really, really important. You can't have any kind of malfeasance, or you should be able to identify the person. There's a lot that goes into it. So we are definitely going to go out of India with this. There's no doubt about it. But we have to pick our moment. We still have not reached the full potential here. We're still scratching the surface. I mean, all the massive businesses in local languages in India. Though we've been very lucky that we've gotten people from various languages here, but I think that every state there are
a lot. Yeah, I think
there are so many creators, right? Anyone who's on YouTube. I mean, it could be education, it could be science, it could be math, it could be beauty, it could be lifestyle, travel. The works. I mean, anybody.
I think the bloggers. It's a very good thing for the bloggers as well, right?
Yeah, it's good for bloggers,
and that content is growing every day. And we are very media heavy.
Geo's completely changed the game with data, right? I mean, over the last 1 year, data has just become the cheapest data in the world right now. And it's going to continue to be. And if you look at the smartphone acquisition rate, they're the highest in India. Everything is the highest in India. I mean, China is also plateauing off a bit. But in terms of the number of users that are coming to the market, consumers that are coming to market, and in this market, a user who's a consumer will tomorrow become a creator himself or herself because they have a passion and they can put it up. And it should be very easy to monetize. It should just be, like you said, one click, and then they don't have to worry about it. And then somebody runs that system and solicits their money for them and converts the money the best way that they can for them.
And we have an excellent payment system.
I mean, that's true. I mean, I think India is very supporting when it comes to all of this, right? Like we
have one of the most
online payments, mobile payments, IMPS,
NEFT. We've got so many online payment options, and they work so well. I think there are very few. I think only China probably has a more advanced and more seamless payment system than India at this point of time. So I think we're very well placed with this, and I think that the industry is in flux. How do you make money? Ads is really not working out, especially if you're small. You're not going to get anything for it. YouTube won't even allow you to.
Do you plan to introduce ads or at some point? I mean,
no, it's not ads. We don't use ads at all. I mean, we are just boxes, plugins, and links that sit in various places and solicit monies for creators. Our boxes just work very, very differently.
Do you think you can use the data that you collect to also build on something later? I mean, because you know what content is earning how much and what is the traction that they're getting. You have that data, right?
I'll let the data scientist answer this question.
Okay.
I mean, so this is a question which we're asked pretty often.
So many times, yeah.
So my first answer is that there are a lot of low-hanging fruit to pluck before you have to go and do fancy stuff.
Right.
With
right. And you need enough data also to come in, right?
No, we have.
There's a lot of. We already have a lot. But before you go and analyze that, there's a lot to be done with just getting people used to the idea of, wanting to support their artists, their creators, their journalists, their bloggers. Before you get to, doing word analyses and saying, okay, this person is writing highbrow and this person is writing poetry.
Right.
So
So it's something that is not thought of, or you have not decided to do
What?
anything.
No, wait.
we're
I'll
not
stop
saying
here.
no. Hold on.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not saying no, but I think that, see, look, what we're doing is we're using a very, very limited number of data points right now to just try and drive conversions. Okay,
Right.
there's a very sophisticated kind of system that we can build with a lot of plugs into it to make that better. But at this point of time, we're not going to take this deep dive into all these very, very nuanced parameters. We are
Right.
going to use the data that we have right now, not to monetize outside, but to try and improve the conversions for
Into
our
the
current
conversions.
clients.
Okay,
Right.
makes
So
sense. Yeah.
our focus is to try and find out the data that matters the most in trying to drive payments for our clients.
Got it.
I think
Got it.
that
And
is the
our
most
analyses are on anonymized data. We don't,
yeah.
take into account who that person is and
Who
look at their
that
email
person
and
is. Got
figure
it.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's just
Got it.
getting worse. I mean, just recently, I think it was reported that Airtel and Savan got data from Facebook. I think yeah, it's in the news.
I know.
No,
Right.
I think we take this very seriously. We take it very seriously. It's information that we'll do anything to protect, and users need to be wary of these things. So we make sure that we're always on the right side of it, and that everyone can feel safe using us.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll just try and switch a little bit from the whole work and formal talks here. We have a small round of rapid fire for both of you all. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
Abrar.
I'm a night person, but I'm forced to be a morning person. I wake up at 5:30 every day, and I hate it. I hate it. I'm not getting used to it. It's been a while, but I really don't like it. But I'm forced to do it.
Right. Rohit, what's your favorite video game?
Oh, geez, it's been a while.
Hmm.
Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah, he was amazing. He's amazing Guitar Hero. If only he could play the guitar like that for real. Oh my god! But on Guitar Hero, he's a freaking legend. I mean, I could never get that.
Really?
I mean, how he played me is nuts. Yeah. It's crazy. It's stuff, but it's damn good. Yeah.
And you,
Yeah.
Abrar?
Well, I have a few. Currently, just one. Like
Just
currently
one.
favorite or
Yes,
all
correct.
time?
Your all-time favorite?
All-time favorite would probably have to be Halo, but currently it's Fortnite.
Okay.
Fortnite Battle Royale. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Rohit, describe Abrar in 3 words.
Oh Lord.
He's the best business partner I could have gotten, mostly because we complement each other perfectly. We have very few, areas of
What's
overlap.
3 words? That's like many
Now,
words.
I think I understand now why your wives have a problem.
Yeah. But like adjectives?
I don't know. It could be
Male,
expletives for all I care.
No, I think best business partner would sort of do it.
What ideal business partner? Very good.
Yeah.
Ideal
sure.
business partner. Okay, I'll go with best business partner just to.
Yeah, that's his answer.
No, mine was
ideal
ideal.
business partner. He said ideal. I'm saying best.
Okay, wow, very different. Anyway,
I know. Right.
Okay, what is the one thing that you dislike about Abrar? Rohit, your answer.
Oh my God.
He stopped drinking espresso in the evenings.
God.
And you don't like that about him?
Yeah, he hates it and every time I say I want to have an espresso, he's so excited. He's like, would you like one more?
So excited.
No, because that was the time we were ideating, and he ensured I went off coffee. We'd have 7 espressos. I'd have 7 espressos with him in the evening, and then I wouldn't sleep. It's physiologically different from other human beings. He can consume coffee, it doesn't do anything.
All right. So what is the one thing that you dislike about Rohit?
A whole lot.
I can think of one thing.
Except for the fact that he forces you to wake up in the morning.
No, he doesn't force me to wake up. It's my child. It's my daughter. I have to get her to the bus stop at 6:30. It's not Rohit. Okay, let me see what I don't like about him. I don't know whether I can say this. No, I can't say this.
I think you can.
No, I cannot.
I think you can.
He's a hypocrite about cigarettes.
Okay.
Oh!
Sorry, man.
Was he not supposed to say that? I'm not going to cut this off anyway. So.
Oh God.
Okay,
he keeps saying cigarettes are gross. He takes a drag and he says cigarettes are gross. And then, he tells me, stop smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes are gross. Yeah. And then he's like, I've given up cigarettes. And that happens for like 12 hours.
12 hours, okay. All right. Rohit, which is your favorite business book?
I don't read business books.
Okay, which is your favorite book?
Ooh, nice. I'm not gonna have a favorite book. You say business book. I have a business book.
Okay.
What's that book I read recently, which I liked?
What? How Murakami?
No, not that one. The Louis de Benias,
Oh, Birds Without Wings.
Birds Without Wings. That's
Yeah,
a good
Birds
book.
Without
Birds
Wings.
without
Yeah.
wings. All right.
That's a
And
lovely book.
yours?
Yeah.
What's your favorite business?
Favorite business book, right?
Right.
Barbarians at the Gate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
I
about
haven't read it.
it's brilliant. It's about the hostile takeover of RJR Nabisco, and
Oh,
it's like real life is better than fiction, and that book is amazing. Yeah.
that's nice. Okay. Rohit, choose one. Quality of life or quantity of life?
Well, that's easy. Doesn't everyone choose quality?
Yeah, I mean, is there a quantity of life and like living a
I don't
shitty
know.
It
life?
means like a long, mediocre life.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are trying to become immortal in this
But
world. So,
Yeah. No, I'm not into immortality.
no, me
Immortality is a
neither.
bad
Me
thing.
neither. I don't want to see my family die and kind of live.
what if you
Or,
could
Yeah.
keep them also alive? I mean,
Let them
oh
deal
my
with it.
God, I'd want to kill them anyway after that. If they want to kill me, right? Like, no. Exactly. Quality of life every time.
all right.
F is for family, Nikita. Remember that. F is for family.
All
Yeah.
right. Rohit, if you could teleport, where would you go and why?
I want to hear this one, Chatterjee.
I go to Amsterdam and get high.
I'll go and ride behind him, okay? I'll take the next teleporter with him, and I'll do the
So
same.
is that your answer too?
Yeah, it's a good place, yeah. I like
Sure.
that.
All right. Okay, so one last bit of the rapid fire, right? So I'm going to say a word. All right.
Oh my God.
1 second, just give me.
Is that the first person that comes to your mind? After the
Yeah,
word
not first person.
Oh, no,
Anything.
God.
First word that comes to your mind, right?
Oh, it's like a word association kind of thing.
It's so basically if I say food, then you can say your favorite food. Like, what is the first thing that comes to your head when you say food? Simple.
Okay.
All right. So again, same order, Rohit and Abrar. Abrar, you've been copying a lot of Rohit's answers. Just saying.
Have I?
So yes, I think we should start with you first, and then with.
Okay. All right. Fine by me.
All right. Content. Don't say Inditip.
YouTube.
Okay.
I said YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay, Rohit.
Creation.
Okay.
This is just association, right? It doesn't have to make sense.
It
They
doesn't have to
run
make
some
sense.
psychometric analysis and
Yeah,
say
it
these
doesn't
guys
have to
want to
make
go to
sense.
Amsterdam and not going to give them money. Go on.
Okay, next competition.
Healthy.
Good.
Money.
Better.
I didn't even answer. Money. Best.
See it again, copying his answer. Okay.
I did not. I went to the supermarket.
Math.
So. Math.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Rohit.
Math is God. I don't know.
God, what did you say? Love? I thought you'd say love.
No, not love.
Not love. No. Okay.
No, he feels betrayed by it. I don't think he's going to say love anymore.
Vindictive God.
All
Vindictive God. Yes, that's right. That's why you can get the field medal because you called it vindictive.
Stocks. Because
Stocks.
you dealt with stocks.
Volatile.
Okay.
Bonds.
Bonds. Okay. Abrar, Rohit.
Partner in crime.
Okay, Rohit.
What's my word?
Abrar.
Is my word Abrar?
Yeah, of course.
Basith. First thing that came to my mind.
Well.
All right, I think we're done with this. Well done. Okay, so before we go, right? So there's, what is this one thing that you would want to comment on the startup culture in India? What do you?
There's so many things that I'd like to comment. I think
a lot of things that you can sort of talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you had to sort of point out something that you would want to, talk about, what would that be?
Well, I'm very happy that we have Swiggy and Dunzo.
I second that. I am not telling you how convenient my life is with Dunzo and Swiggy, but
it's amazing. They've changed everyone's lives in a year?
Yeah, I think less than a year. Yes.
I think that startup ecosystem is fantastic, but I think that too many people are just chasing the goal of only money and not the idea.
Right.
And I think that you need to keep
So
the
they
idea
need
alive and go after it, and the money will come. But way too many times people say, "Oh, when do I get my CVC? When do I
Do you
do
think
this?"
that's probably one of the reasons why the failure rate is that high? Because people sort
I
of
think the failure rates are
drift
going to
away
just
from the
be high.
passion and start
I
concentrating
don't,
on
not
monetizing.
necessarily, not necessarily. I think that there are enough volumes to say that there are people that sit on either side of, saying, I want to cash out, or I have an idea, and whether it's a good or bad one, they pursue it. I think that the fact that India is in a place like this, you are going to have high failure rates. But the truth is that the mortality rates of business have not been lower than they have been now. I mean, the ease of doing business now vis-a-vis 25, 30 years ago, the license Raj and everything, actually, success rates are still much higher. So I think it's a very misleading thing to say, oh, mortality rates are really bad. I think it's just as good or just as bad.
Also, a high failure rate is an indicator of an increased appetite for risk from investors.
And
so
innovation, I think that
experiment and be okay to fail. I wish there were more local investors, though. It seems that
I think that everybody is
from outside the country.
And to be honest, the other thing is that the local investment system that we see in India again is like a bank. I mean, nobody wants to really take a risk. Everybody wants to say, okay, how good is this idea and how low is my risk? And then why are you really an investor?
Why need an investor?
Put your money in, I think that is the problem. I don't think that there's so much of a problem with the people who are trying to start up the companies. I think that the investment ecosystem in India is very unevolved, and I think that it's so risk averse. It's almost like a bank. I mean, what you give away is so high and so dear and so precious, and the kind of control that they want to exact because they believe that you should do it this way. Then what happens? I mean, you're kind of killing the spirit.
Killing it. Yeah. That's
so if you don't have that kind of appetite, really an investor.
Yeah,
that's my say anyway.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense. And what would you say? A couple of, if you had to, if you have undergone a couple of problems like through your journey, like challenges, not problems exactly, but challenges, and it is something that you see a lot of startups go through as well. And if you found a solution to it, right?
Generic one.
It doesn't have to be a generic one. It can be a challenge that you've sort of gone
specifically to us. There was, of course, the challenge of trying to redefine how an industry earns money. I mean, that's a very big challenge.
That's a very
but I think for everybody, I think that ease of business in India is not great. I mean, I wouldn't say it's as terrible as some of the places around, but ease of business over here is still something that needs to be worked upon. So what is
your advice to the people who are just starting up?
I think the advice to the people starting up is first, get yourselves a great chartered accountant and a really good lawyer.
Absolutely. I second that.
Start off with that, because I think that a lot of people make this mistake and say, no, this is an A course, I don't know, whatever. And we've had our experiences where, had we started off with the accountants and lawyers we have now, perhaps we'd have short-circuited some of that journey. Perhaps we'd have saved 5 or 6 months. In the process. So I think that it's very important for anybody who's producing or creating something to understand their regulatory and legal and accounting framework very solidly in the beginning. Including taxation and indirect taxation. There are all these fundamentals that I think that people just do not pay enough attention to when they start off. They just say, okay, because I think everybody just says, oh, we need
let's start off and then we'll see how
development marketing. We're not even one thing about the Indian ecosystem of startups that I didn't mention is that we are not doing anything for industry. Everything is tech. I think that's another problem here. I think we are missing out on the fourth industrial revolution because people are not funding manufacture. But that's a different story. But I think coming back to what Rohit and I agreed upon over here is that fundamentally get your business basics right. I know everybody wants to go and scale up and get there in a hurry and build these amazing things. But unless you have the basic framework to run this business, to make sure your returns are filed, to make sure you're compliant and you don't pay ridiculous penalties because of not filed taxes, or you have this problem where suddenly your agreements don't pass muster with your clients, then you're really in trouble. So these are things that you have to invest in the beginning, and you have to get the right partners. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of trouble moving forward. So I think this can be common to everybody. I think they get their business basics right, and they're off to a good start.
All right. Rohit, do you have anything else to add?
No, that's what I was going to say. Get your accounting and your legal down first. before you go over to website design and getting, a fancy logo or font made.
Yeah, completely.
And definitely before you sign a lease on an office.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, another thing, work out of coffee shops. That's another thing
Yes.
I'll tell people.
Oh, right. That's one thing. You guys work out of a coffee shop, right?
Yeah, we work only out of several coffee shops, but we do. We've kept it lean that way by choice. Not that we can't afford a co-working space, but yeah, keep it really, really lean. Get these basics in the business side. And the one thing that we have realized is keeping it lean will ensure you survive.
True.
Keep it very, very lean. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think we're done, Rohit and Abrar.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
Thanks very much.
your time, and it was just beautiful talking to you guys.